What's up, everybody? It's Jasmine. This is going to be a very long video, but for those of you who have been keeping up with my mission to meet Robert Downey Jr., you may want to keep watching. Now, the last thing that I updated you guys on regarding Robert Downey Jr. was all the way back in January, 10 months ago, when I went to the People's Choice Awards. Since then, one really big, really disappointing, and really stressful thing has happened. And honestly, after experiencing it, I didn't feel like telling anyone about it because it made me so upset, but some time has passed, so now I want to tell you the story. So back in May, when Spiderman Homecoming was coming out and they were doing all of the promo, and Tom and RDJ and the cast were all going to like talk shows and getting interviewed and doing press junkets and stuff like that, Robert and Tom Holland were supposed to be on the Kimmel Show. Now, I have gone to the Kimmel Show before. You can get tickets through oneiota.com. I'll link them below if you've never heard of them or didn't know that that was a thing. And they usually post the schedule of when certain guests are going to come. And up until the last possible minute, they did not confirm whether or not Robert Downey Jr. was going to be at a taping. So I was constantly checking the website. But the night before he was supposed to be there, they finally updated the website and I requested tickets. And I got tickets. However, the tickets that I got were general admission. They were not priority. So I was not guaranteed a spot, which meant that having a general admission ticket, I should probably get there super early in order to get in, because all of the priority tickets go in first and then they fill in with general admission until they reach capacity. So when I found out that I got tickets, I lost my mind. I was like in the bathroom, I was screaming, I started sweating, I was super excited because I was gonna go to the Kimmel Show and I was determined to get into the show. Like, even though I had general admission, I was gonna get into that show. So I went to sleep and I couldn't really sleep because I was so excited. So I ended up waking up early, so early that I got to Hollywood Boulevard 7 hours early to wait for this show. I came prepared though. Like, I brought reading material, I packed a lunch, I brought my windbreaker to make sure that if I got cold or started raining, my everything would be protected. And I was like ready. Like, I knew I was gonna be sitting on Hollywood Boulevard for 7 hours, but I wanted to see that show, so I just camped out on the street. A few hours before the show, One Iota actually emailed us an update telling us that the line for check-in was going to be behind the building in the alleyway rather than out front of the building on Hollywood Boulevard. So I went to the back of the building, and this, it might be a little hard to explain, but basically behind the building there's like two areas. There's the area where fans can wait outside of the studio for the celebrities to arrive to possibly get photos and autographs. And then there's like the section where paparazzi and press are supposed to wait. And this was an interesting situation because this was a 2-show tape day. So the people who were going to the first show were waiting out front, and then Robert and Tom were for the second show, so we were waiting out back. So guests who have tickets don't usually wait in the back, but we were. So we were standing where the paparazzi were. But I made sure to check in with the One Iota team coordinator ASAP to let her know that I was there and that I'd been there since the morning and that I was gonna get into this show. So I started getting tired around like hour 5 of waiting for this show, but I was still excited. I was still anticipating seeing Robert Downey Jr. I had brought a letter for him. It wasn't really a letter, it was more like the timeline of my missed connections video written out on paper to give to him. Kind of like an ironic situation, like, here's how many times I've tried meeting you and hopefully I'm meeting you this time. So after like six and a half hours, Robert Downey Jr. finally arrives. He comes out of the gate from parking, and I lost it internally, but externally I was like quiet. Like, I wasn't screaming, I was kind of just staring in disbelief and hoping that he would come our way, because he immediately went to his right, which was where the fans were on the other end of the street. And so I waited patiently and praying that he would come towards the paparazzi so that the people who were in line for the show could have a chance to meet him too. So Robert walks towards us, and he comes about halfway and he stops. And he addresses the paparazzi and he says, I'm gonna stand right here in these oil spots so that you guys can get your pictures. So he poses for a couple seconds, he poses. It doesn't seem like he's gonna come any closer, and I'm at the front of the line because I'd been there for hours. So I held out my hand with this paper and I said something along the lines of, can you take this letter from me, please? And with actual breath from Robert Downey Jr.'s lungs, he spoke 6 words to me. Those words were, so I was sad, and as soon as he said that, he turned around and walked into the studio. So at like all the same time, my dreams were crushed, but I was also super excited because Robert Downey Jr. just spoke to me. Like, he said words to me, to my face, with his voice, in person, only a few feet away from me. As he was walking up towards us, I genuinely thought that this was going to be the moment that I would meet him. But then he stopped, and like, everything else stopped too. So it wasn't what I wanted to hear him say, but he did it in a very respectful way. Like, he wasn't a jerk. He said sorry. Like, he was very sweet about it. And of course I was disappointed, but I was still excited because I was still going to go into the show. So I had mixed emotions at this point, you know, upset that I couldn't meet him, take a picture with him, and anything like that, but excited because I saw him and he talked to me and I was gonna see him in the show, so I wasn't really sure how to feel at that point. So finally they took us in, and I was lucky enough to get a front row seat. The show was great. Tom Holland waved to me during a commercial break. I didn't make eye contact with Robert or anything like that, but there was a point in the show where he was talking about the work that he did to prepare for his Chaplin role, and he talked about playing tennis left-handed, and there's a point where I start to clap because it seemed like a good place to clap, and nobody else clapped. So Robert actually stopped, addressed the audience, and said, bring it, and I will actually insert this clip right here. Okay, so I wasn't actually able to download this clip because, like, it won't let me. So I'm just gonna film it with my phone and show you what happened.
He's playing, and then I look at one of the tapes and he's playing left-handed.
Chaplin was.
Yeah, so I went back and learned how to play tennis left-handed, to which everybody said, bring it. To which everybody said, don't do that, it doesn't matter.
So yeah, that clap was started by me. I was really hoping to have another interaction with him that night, whether it be in the show during a commercial break or after the show when he was leaving. I was hoping that maybe I could get out of the studio in time to get to the back so that I could see him exit, but that did not happen. By the time the show was over and we were released, he had already left. So by this point, I was physically and emotionally exhausted. And what I actually ended up doing was going back to the car, calling my mom, and crying. Now, I actually did film a lot of this day with the anticipation of making a vlog right away, but when I got depressed about it and he told me no, I just kept the footage on my computer and have had it archived for a while, but I'm going to place that footage here for you now, now that you know what's happened, and I can show you how the day went down. Good morning, everybody. It's currently 7:30 a.m. I never get up this early, but I can't sleep anymore because I'm so freaking excited. So it is currently 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday, May 31st. I have a packed lunch. I have my windbreaker. I'm ready for the weather, and I'm getting ready to head to Hollywood Boulevard to camp out in front of the Jimmy Kimmel studio because Robert Downey Jr. is going to be there today. Now, I actually do have a ticket. One Iota released yesterday, finally, the official filming schedule saying that Robert Downey Jr. was going to be shooting today with Tom Holland on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Now, I have a ticket, but it's general admission, and they have priority tickets as well, which means that priority tickets are guaranteed to get in. General admission means you could get in if you're there in time, which is why I'm making sure to be the first in line for general admission. So I'm here on Hollywood Boulevard. There are 7 hours until the show starts, and I would assume that I am the first person in line. However, they're doing a big setup outside, So I'm not 100% sure where the line will start, but I have let a couple people back there know that I'm here and I'm waiting and I will get in. So I'm now actually in the alley behind the Jimmy Kimmel studio because One Iota, who I got the tickets through, sent us an email saying that check-in location had to change. So I am now sitting in an alley instead of on Hollywood Boulevard, which is actually very preferable. So I've got 4 hours to go. It's 3 o'clock. My hair has deflated. More people have arrived. And we're waiting for the show. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's so crazy.
Two at the same time.
He's right down there in a beanie, signing autographs. Oh, I can't see him. Oh my gosh. My heart is beating so fast.
Get out of the way! Hey! Robert!
Oh my gosh.
Robert, can we get away?
Robert! Asshole.
Robert, get away!
Will you take this from me? Oh my gosh. Guys, this is happening. This is really happening. Oh my gosh. This is really happening.
Stop right here in these oil spots. But
Right there's good, right there.
Will you take this letter from
We
me?
love you.
Will you take this letter from me, please? Why not? Okay, it's okay.
Thank you.
So this whole day was just like a really discouraging experience. I mean, to be only feet away from him and have my favorite actor tell me no, it's really disappointing. And he did so in the most gracious and respectful way, but it still sucked. So on that night, when I ended up crying on the phone with my mom, I decided that I should probably, you know, take a step back from pursuing this so hard because it was affecting me in a negative way. Like it was bad. Like I cried a lot and felt stupid and wanted to just give up because I mean, I've tried so many times to meet this man. I have been in the same place as him so many times. I've entered so many contests. I've been in the same room with him multiple times, been in the same space with him multiple times, and still have just not had the opportunity to shake his hand, hug him, talk to him, take a picture with him, or any of that. So at that point, I figured, you know what, if it's supposed to happen, it'll happen. And I just need to not let it affect me the way that it was. So that's why I took a break from it. That's why I didn't make this video right away. I needed time to heal. But as you can tell, many months have passed. So I'm feeling a little bit better about it. So a few days after this Jimmy Kimmel appearance, the Spiderman Homecoming premiere was actually happening on Hollywood Boulevard as well. So obviously I hadn't won the Omaze campaign to actually be a guest at the premiere, and I usually go to these. I go with the anticipation of seeing the stars on the red carpet. This is what I've done for multiple events, you know, with Civil War, Captain America 2, and even other things that aren't Marvel related. But on this day, I actually considered not even going because I was still recovering from the emotional disappointment of Jimmy Kimmel, and I knew it was going to be hot. There were going to be hundreds, maybe even thousands of people. It was going to be crowded. I probably wasn't going to meet Robert, but I decided to go anyways because I was meeting a friend of mine who I have met through Twitter. Her name is Ale. And she was actually coming from a different country to California specifically for this event, so I definitely wanted to go and meet up with her and have fun with this experience. So me and Ale and I, we actually wore our matching Random Act Funding t-shirts, and I made a sign to bring with me as well, to hold it up, and hopefully Robert would see it and come over and sign it and say hi because he knows we're supporters. But that didn't happen. We were there for a really long time as always, but there were some fun things that happened. They threw out Spider-Man masks, they threw out costumes, there were lots of fan giveaways, fans were interviewed, we saw some of the people arrive. There was like a real Spider-Man that came out of a car, and then there was a rogue Spider-Man climbing a light post that the police had to come get down. It was all really crazy. Tom actually did come over to our side of the fence though and sign some autographs. I didn't get his autograph, but that's okay. So when Robert arrived, we all screamed our lungs out with the hopes that he would come over. I threw my sign up in the air hoping that he would see it, hoping that he would notice and come our way, but he didn't. He barely even signed any autographs or talked to any fans. He kind of like arrived and then went up on his platform, and I was able to I was able to snap a photo of his backside, but that's it. So I didn't get to meet Robert that day, and I knew I wasn't going to get to meet Robert that day. But as always, it was really cool to see all of these celebrities arrive. Not many of them came to our side, but we still got to see them, and I had fun. I did take some footage from this day. There's not a good shot of Robert because I couldn't really see Robert, but I'll just add some of these clips so that you can kind of see what the atmosphere was like at this event. As you can see, red carpet events can be very stressful when they're such high profile as this one. So since all of this stuff happened back in May, I haven't really talked about Robert or posted about him. I still love him just the same. I don't want anyone to think that just because I've had these disappointing experiences that it somehow changes how I feel about him, because it doesn't. I still most definitely want to meet him, but at this point there's not much more I can do. I just have to believe that it'll happen in its own time and it'll happen in the best way possible. But for now, with this video, I'm going to close the book on my missed connections. I'm going to stop keeping track of all of the failures, and hopefully someday there will be a video where I can tell you the story of the day that I actually meet him. I just feel like I've kind of exhausted this narrative of talking about the times I haven't met him. I'm really lucky to live in Los Angeles and have the opportunity to go to these events and meet all of the people that I do get to meet. So I don't ever want to take for granted the chances that I've had to even be this close to someone that I admire this much. So this isn't the end of the story, maybe just the end of this novel, and we'll have to wait for the sequel, the day that I actually get to meet him. Thank you for coming on this journey with me and listening to all of my crazy stories. I'm actually in the process of moving to a new apartment, so the next time I post a video, I might not be here anymore. Not that you can really tell where I'm at anyways, because it's just a door and a bin, but I'm moving, so that's great. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Check all the links down in the description. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, blah, 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 blah. Subscribe if you want to. I'm not that kind of person who tells you to, because who wants to sit here and listen to a girl talking about celebrities for almost 20 minutes? Not everyone, so I understand. Until the next exciting event that I feel needs to be documented, this is Jasmine, signing off. Thank you for watching.